Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Mayfield and Friends. Today I am chatting with another member of the Iron Pure CC who goes by the RSN Vegan Femboy, or you can just say vegan as well. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what kind of account you play?
Hello. Yeah, my everyone just calls me vegan, but the RSN's vegan femboy. I play a 45 defense Ironman right now. It used to be one defense, but I'll get into that a little later. Currently working on finishing out Missouri. I need chaps, and then I'd like to try to get Dagon high, so I can kind of just be as maxed out as I can be for the chambers grind. Um, I do a lot in Iron Pure. I just try to organize events like the bingo we have coming up and hang out with everyone, have fun.
Awesome. Yeah, and for I like to timestamp our recording time. So for those who are curious, we're recording on the 18th of December. So that means the bingo is around 2 weeks away at this point. So actually, it will go up about a week before the bingo starts. So if anybody wants to keep track of progress, of course, all the vegans like high scores, temple, everything like that will be in the description. So if you're curious as to how he's doing, go ahead and find that. Now, play a 45 defense, used to play a 1 defense iron. So what got you into that kind of account specifically?
So I think it's about 2.5 years ago at this point. I have a friend from that I went to college with. His RSN is Cian Hill. He's a very accomplished player in this game. He's fantastic. He did a lot of TOB with Exacts hardcore, Tree Climb back when that was a one defense hardcore as well. I saw that and I was like, that looks really cool. I'm gonna play an account like that. And then like a year and a half later, I was doing TOB and got a Scythe. So I I saw the account. I thought it was cool. I felt like doing something like that, so I did it. It took a while to get up there because I at the time was not very good at PVM. I had maybe done like 40 TOB KC, probably one Infernal like KC, and like 150 trio chambers, if anything. So
Hmm.
I was far from an accomplished PVMer at the time. But I saw it, I saw what he was doing, and I had the resources to help me learn because, he was always very willing to help. And I decided, fuck it, we'll start the account. And yeah, I just went for it. I did a lot of 416 TOB, which isn't the best, and surprisingly very easy to find teams on, even if you're a pure, as long as you have a couple KC. So TOB is my favorite content in game, so I really didn't mind doing a lot of it no matter what. Like I just had fun with it. I wasn't really worried about max efficiency at 416 and stuff like that. I do love the like team play aspect of it when you're in a good organized team, but it's just to me it's just fun no matter what. So at 302 KC, I got my I got my first scythe, and after that I went to do hard mode TOB, which was I'd never done it before at all.
Hmm.
So that was a big struggle to learn because I don't know if you know this, but no one really does hard mode. It's not a very popular piece of content. People don't like it. It's very difficult. Especially when the client ban happened, a lot of people were really, really, really bad at it, which was funny, but also kind of annoying because it's like I still was going for KCs because I was drawing a holy kit at that time.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, like 24 hard mode KC, I got Dust. Then I got a Sang kit for the Scythe at like 45, I believe. And this is at the time I was still one defense. So I think that was around like probably close to 2 years into the account. And I was just kind of like, this is cool. I had a Sang at that time too. I was pretty much I have TOB green logged effectively minus capes and the pet. I am I am kind of dry on the pet ish
Which is
because if you
which is
combine
crazy to
my
think about.
it's I literally I spooned everything else. I can't complain.
Hmm.
Um So, at that time, I started solo chambers as well on the account because I was like, okay, well, next up's a Tebow. Uh, Found out solo chambers on one defense is pretty miserable, and if you do teams, it's not great either. So not because of the anything like with the issue of doing it in the team. It's just the points are not there. You don't even with Scythe and saying you're not getting nearly as many points as anyone else in the raid. Uh,
Absolutely.
unless I was like doing 2+1 or duos with shit the other he's another 42 defense Iron and Iron Beer who also used to be one defense.
Hmm.
And we'd get pretty even points because we would just both do solo running. Uh and it's just it takes forever. You can't no prep, so I was like kind of interested in going Zerk at that time. I hadn't really thought about it a lot. It was just kind of in the back of my head, like, hey, Inquisitor looks really, really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a
And it
very cool
does.
looking armor.
It is my favorite armor set in the game. And I saw do you know B-Bay, the 42 defense iron?
not familiar. No.
Okay, so he is like top 5 Zerk pretty much for Iron Men. He's great, big fan. And I did a TOB with him, and he rolls up in full Inquisitor with the red Scythe, and I was just like, okay, I'm
Ooh.
going Zerk. Because I had red Scythe, I had everything else. I saw the Inquisitor set with him, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to go for that. So
Like this is max
I,
drip.
yeah, it really is. It looks way too good to be in the game. It's ridiculous. So I saw him in that, and I was like, yeah, I think it's time. A couple other things made me want to go Zerk. The chambers, you can do consistent no preps a lot easier as a Zerk. Uh, the new Blood Rune altar actually was another deciding factor for me because I don't know if you know this, but you pretty much become a Blood Rune victim when you get Scythe and Sang and use them everywhere.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I'm familiar with the struggle that Ironmen find
you
themselves
just
in.
get you just get they just go. They just disappear. So I was like, okay, I guess it's time. And I started off going 30 defense just to kind of play around with it, but I knew it wouldn't last because it's just if you're at 30, I felt like I'm a 99 attack, 99 I'm not 99 prayer, but I'll over time get 99 prayer. So I was like, might as well just go Zerk. So I went Zerk. I got all the I still don't have all Zenites. I don't have a suffering because I don't feel like I need it right now.
Hmm.
Once I get if I get a twisted bow, I don't want to say once because it's assuming too much, but if I ever get a twisted bow, I'll definitely get a suffering so I can go for Infernal pet and stuff like that. But until then, I just don't really need it. So I'm
Hmm.
not really worried about it.
And you
But
mentioned Infernal Pet, right? So,
yes, that would one of the big account goals I had when I went Zerk. I was like, okay, if I get all of the big ticket weapons, I should go for GM. And as of right now, there are 2 Zerks who have gotten Grandmaster.
mhm.
One currently has it, one had it before TOA release and just hasn't gotten it back because just lack of desire to, which is, that's fair. 9900, he was a member of Iron Pure for a while, but he is not a Iron Man anymore. He de-ironed for the helm because he just was tired of going for ink, pretty much.
Yeah,
He went way over my KC, so I don't blame him.
it's one of
It's
those things that
it's it's
can.
a hell of a grind, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've watched people like Lake and Sebe go insanely dry for their maces,
I
and
I used to watch Sebe's streams all the time when he was going for Inquisitor Mace, and it just looked like a nightmare, literally.
yeah, so
So
yeah.
without Fasani, there was no chance I would have ever done it. But with Fasani, so Fasani, I think it's a great boss fight. Like mechanically, it's very enjoyable. I just think the rates are miserable.
And it's long for how bad
And
the
coming
rates
from
are.
someone who spooned it, I consider it spooned. I got helm at 1208 KC, I believe, for my last item.
Hmm.
For the set, I don't have mace. I have harm and staff. I don't really feel like I need to go for mace, but I will passively over time do some KC. Like I need to do the 5 kill crypt still, and I need to do the sub 730, which is one of the hardest tasks to get on a Zerker for the GM helm.
Hmm.
That and 30 KC Arma Trip are both like the kind of brick wall comparatively to all the other tasks. especially with Shadow now, though. Shadow does help at Arma, if I remember correctly, but it's still just you have to perfect tick perfect for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that does sound very brick wally, very
On
miserable.
top of that, you have to get good supply drops, so
It's
you
also
really gotta get a
RNG
little lucky.
based.
So it's RNG based and skill based at the same time, which a lot of things are on this game, Infernal speedrunning, top speedrunning, all of it, but just the added, like, fact that you have to do this weird, like, red X method. I don't know if you ever watched the exact streams where he was doing the red pop method with the T-bow when he was a one defense, but
No, but I've seen people doing the red Xing Baba, and I've seen the red X methods for like Bandos and stuff. So I'm
yeah.
familiar with like the concept.
Well, red X Arma is more similar to Baba than I would say it is to, um, like, Bandos because the way you just try to keep going under. Red X Baba is just made TOA so easy, though, I love it.
Hmm.
I've been I spoon so I'll get there, but so when I made the account a Zerk, I was like, okay, I guess I should try to, see if I can eventually go for GM. But that requires, TiVo, which
Scythe,
I
everything.
would I had have Scythe, have have a lot, but TiVo is an absolute need, and I would hate to assume I'm gonna get a TiVo because I know people who have gone or and are going beyond dry. So I have a friend named his name is Rodney Mullen in game. He calced his solo uh purple points like what it would be for an average solo for his KC. He is 5,200 solos dry worth of points of a T-bow.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's about 3,000 hours of chambers right there.
Hmm.
So because he also doesn't have a scythe, so he's not when he's just using lance, and it's miserable to watch because he deserves it, and then you see people come in and spoon, and you're like, really?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you watch TDS at all, but he just spooned the bow and the pet on like 63 chambers.
Damn. I got the pet on I think 260 very unexpectedly. I was just like, okay, I didn't expect that. It's just another one of those drops that I try not to expect because it's so rare.
Hmm.
To me, the Chambers pet's a little too rare, but
For me,
yeah.
I think
So
some of the pets are in general just. I think 1 in 3K is fine, but all the 1 in 5Ks are they're kind of like
I don't really mind the 1 in 5K. It's just the Chambers pet needing to get a purple and then it being 1 in 65 purples, which is double the rate of a T-bow.
Mhm.
It's just a lot. I don't really know what they were going for with that one.
That's true. It's true.
So around, I think it was like May of 2022, I went Zerk, April or May, and I got to work on Fasani. I got a very spooned staff, and then went 500 dry, and got a skirt, and then like 4 tasty later, I got another skirt, and then I went another couple hundred, got a hauberk, got a hauberk, got a harm orb, got another hauberk, and then I think it was 6 KC after that hauberk, that third hauberk. I got the helm,
Mhm.
freaked out, was like, okay, time to go for Missouri chaps because that's all I'm missing from TLA right
'Cause
now.
you got the helm very recently, didn't you?
Yeah, the helm I think I got maybe 2 weeks ago,
So like early December
and
2022.
it was early December. Yeah, it was just I think it was like my last kill before going to work,
Mhm.
and I pulled it, and I was just like, okay,
I gotta
cool,
call in now.
we're done. So now I'm gonna go for the 5 kill trip pretty soon. I said I'd do it this weekend, but I didn't do it. And then the sub 730 is very difficult. I've paced it a couple times, but I've died I died P4 pillars at like 7 minutes flat on like I think it was the second to last pillar. So it was a chance if I got a really lucky last 2 pillars
Mhm.
and just like 2 or 3 hit the or like 3 hit the boss. But it's one of the hardest things to get for Zerk GM.
Does the shadow help for that at all?
It's ridiculous. You can 2 hit pillars. I love it.
Awesome. So you
It's made the
you
whole thing so much more relaxed.
So now you're sitting with 2 of the 3, like, Grandmaster weapon like, the big tier raise weapons.
I pulled a shadow on, I think it was, like, my 4th kill at
Oh
DOA.
my god.
It was my first purple, the first one I'd seen. I was just like, "Okay,
The
cool."
the Ultra Spoon at that point.
I truly did Ultra Spoon that, it was great. I wasn't mad. It helped a lot at Nightmare, and now I just need Chaps to finish that, place, and then I'm pretty much max geared for Chambers. I don't plan on using Shadow at Chambers because of just the click intensity of doing 8 to 0 or 8 to 1. I can't remember exactly what it is. Uh, it's just easier to use Sang because then you can consistently no prep because you have the healing staff. So,
Mhm,
and then I'm not sure on my plans whether I'm using Scythe or Bludgeon or just gonna go for Mace first. I think it'd be pretty foolish to just say I'm gonna go for Mace first because that's even rarer than a piece of Inquisitor,
mhm.
more rare, and it's not that much of a DPS increase where the time spent getting it does not outweigh the time saved having it by any means, if you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't think Inquisitor even has that, to be honest with you. I really don't think it's worth going for in the in the short term if you just want to do raids. Uh, Chamber TOB, you're more than fine using Void. It's effectively the same DPS for a Zerk. So, and especially with Elite Void now for range and mage for Zerks because of the 80 attack requirements. If you are attack limited, it's not a lifesaver there. You're really not going to be out DPSing mains just because you have Inquisitor over Void. You're
Mhm.
still you're not. I mean, I don't want to say you are getting carried, but not like I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean in just like a way of you don't have piety, you don't have bandos, you don't have a scythes like a lot of mains do if you're just starting off. So, but yeah, so I got Inquisitor, got 6 out of 7 TOA. I have spooned that place to a ridiculous level.
Mhm.
Not that I'm mad about it, but it's not my favorite raid for sure. But it's not. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think Baba is a bit ridiculous. 20s through prayer is not a. There's no there's no fun in that to me. Like
I
I don't
also
get what
think
they were thinking with that.
I also think the baboon room is just, like, a really shittily made Nilo room.
It just so every other puzzle takes a minute, 60 seconds flat. That's pretty much it.
Mhm.
You get some 10-second variants. I don't even have a dragon pickaxe, and I still can one down the Akka puzzle. So to me, the fact that they took one room and made it longer than all the other ones combined was a bit silly.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure what they were thinking with that, but it's not my game, so I just do it. I typically do that room first, even if it's better than not, because the raid flows a lot better if you get the annoying thing out of the way with and just let the rest of it go smoothly.
Absolutely.
So, because people do Zabak first a lot, because Baba, if you do it last, since you don't really take damage, it's kind of like just worth to do last. But that is if you red X, of course, which if you're doing higher invos, you just do pretty much.
Yeah, it just makes sense at that point.
But yeah, so next up is Missouri Chaps and Dagon High. Pretty much are the two goals I have right now. I don't really care for the hat. If I get the top and the bottom, I will leave. It's not like I'm gonna bring a hat switch to Chambers.
Mhm.
So if I got the hat, I'd probably use it at CMs if anything. Uh, CMs are on the table for me in teams. They are not on the table in solos because I do not have a twisted bow.
Yeah.
So if I had a twisted bow, they could be on the table. I they're a bit long and a bit hard, so not something I do every day, of course, but they're fun. And I have pets, so the dust chance is lovely.
Yeah, Dusted Omelet is a really nice
A
pet. 'Cause
very nice looking pet. I think I like Vasa the most personally.
I I think I like, the Puppetile or the Baby Tecton,
Baby Tecton's cool too, of course, but
but
always like the Vasa the pet.
I'm just in general a big fan of, like, the Olm pet itself.
Yeah, it's great. I was very shocked when I got it. I was just like, okay,
Mhm.
that's rarer than a twisted bow, but okay. It's like the excitement of having it versus like the, oh, this could have been this, which I try not to get into with myself because that's just a whole rabbit hole of going down into this spiral of woe is me. I could have gotten this item, but I got this item instead.
Yeah, it's not good to go down that spiral because it's like, oh, I got this item. Well, better keep going then.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was with Nightmare because I definitely took breaks for like a month at a time. I don't know if you know Empty, an Iron Pure Client. He takes breaks for extended periods of time, but he just deserves the whole log at this point. He's almost 3k KC without a skirt or a
Wow.
mace. So it's just I every time I was doing Nightmare, I was just like, I hope I don't end up like him. I hope I don't end up like him
Mm-hmm.
because it's quite ridiculous to watch. It's I don't it's a hard line because I don't think drops should be guaranteed or boosted by a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also don't think you should be able to go to ridiculous. I mean, if you look at it, he's technically only 3 times dry on the skirt because it's a 1 in 1k. But at the same time, it's a 1 in 1k that isn't BIS, for normal accounts, for kills that take 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
The
it's kind of like there's really no value in doing Nightmare on a non-Zerker 30 defense Iron Man. So
yeah.
I think they've kind
It's
of missed the mark with Nightmare
the balancing. Yeah.
with balancing.
It's
I think the
very
boss fight alone, if you just separate everything from a boss fight, the boss fight's great. It's if you mess up, you get punished. If you don't mess up, the kill goes smooth. That's kind of just how it should be, in my opinion. So,
mhm.
but yeah, I mean, if you told me, when I made this account, I would have a Scythe full ink, and you know, obviously the shadow didn't exist back then, but got Sang, I've got Harm, so I'd have been like, no shot, because I was a skiller for years. I have 2 maxed mains that I have played uh up until I made this account. Pretty much, I had a free to play UIM that I kind of played on the side, but I was far from a PVMer, so it just kind of happened with this account because Iron Man, you have to get your own stuff.
Which that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I enjoy it. I can't ever see myself playing a main again in terms of defense or non-iron really,
Hmm.
other than casually doing PVM comps on my one of my alts with my a clan that I'm in called Kingdom. It's just like a casual PVM clan. They're just a bunch of good friends of mine. So,
And
but
that's
it's just like I when I play that account and I go to click piety, I feel wrong. I'm
yeah.
like, what
No,
am I
I
doing?
I get it.
Like my fingers should not be going all the way down here. What's happening?
Hmm. You like
So
type of the username, and you're like, oh, I haven't used this one in a while.
yeah, it's just like I've played this account now nearly exclusively for so long that I don't know what to do when I'm on a normie. I'm like, wait, what is this ancestral equipment? Because I actually so the omelet I got on an ancestral top, and everyone in Kingdom was calling me crazy because I dropped it over. They're like, what if you go main? What if you go main? Just like it's just not happening.
You're like, I have a main. Why would I do that?
Yeah, I have a main. Why would I start a main iron? A main iron, you'd have to go for Torva. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
all right.
My Speaking of Torva, my roommate has been grinding next on his normie, trying to make money to max. He used to play 10 HP UIM.
Mm,
He kind of just got he achieved the goal on it, and he was like, okay, I'm done. And then he didn't play for like 2 or 3 months, and then he started up a main account again. He's like, I want to finally get a max game. So he's been doing
fair.
that, and I just see how miserable he is at next. And I'm
It's
just,
I would much rather do something like TOB for money. That's for
yeah,
sure. So when did you get into skilling? Because I started when I think I was a freshman in college, so I'd have to be like 2017. I kind of got really into skilling. To this day, my favorite player of this game is still Autumn Elegy.
dude, 100%.
I love those
I
videos. I still go back and listen to them sometime.
I love his content. I always um every time he posts a new video, it's like one of the first things I'll watch.
I will drop what I'm doing.
Yes, virtually. Like even if I'm at work, I'm like, hey guys, taking a lunch break. I gotta watch this new autobiology video.
His views on skilling always resonated with me. I didn't like the, I guess, power creep and minigamescape that the direction of the game was going with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't like lava runners. I like solo lavas. Solo lavas was my favorite content in game for
Hmm.
years because it was just you. You were responsible for those XP rates. If you didn't get them, it was on you. It wasn't on some runner that you're paying 200 mil or an hour for or whatever. It was just if you could do it, it was your own skill at being, tick perfect for an hour, which I never got near, but it was a constant goal of getting better. There was always improvement you could see, and it was very enjoyable to me.
Hmm.
When I think it was around the time like Hey Jace was doing RuneCraft and runners started to get really popular, I just kind of gave up on it and just started playing more relaxed because I was considering like this is probably around the time as well that I kind of fell out of the game for a little bit because I I was like I don't want to play 6 Rune Dragon alts just to afford 1 hour of RuneCraft.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous
It's
that they made the EHP rates for runners.
it's just like it's not you. That's not efficient hours played. That's efficient hours everyone else is playing too. So I wasn't a fan of that. It just kind of lost its magic with me. So I started a UIM at the time as well. I got 90 agility, 80 RC, and then I started getting into PVM a little bit, not a lot. Like I said, I did an Inferno, did a little Chambers, did a little Tob, little other stuff too, like Zilly running, because just stuff I hadn't done before because I never thought to do it, and it was a lot of fun. So here I am now with this account. I
And yeah, I wanna dive into a couple more things about the things you've talked about already.
gotcha.
But I know you did ask me when I got into skilling.
Yeah, go for when
Because
how'd that happen for you?
um,
For me, it was just automelogy videos. That is not even a joke.
I I don't really know like the exact moment, but I remember when I was younger, it was like this would have been like 2008 or 9. I saw a level 3 with like I think it was like an agility cape or something. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy. You can like get a 99 and like no combat." Cuz at that time, I had done um like one defense like free to play PKing with my friends. I'd done like stuff like that and I just like there was
Free
something
to play
about
PKing is a ton of fun.
yeah, and I had just gotten burnt on it and my laptop at the time, like when I was younger growing up, like wasn't ever great. So PVM just like, it like lagged my computer and stuff. It wasn't super feasible, right? And then
Hmm.
I would start to see um people like get like high XP rates and all that stuff. And I remember when Suomi started like
I do remember that name.
yeah,
That
when
is not a name I have heard in years.
yeah, I still think about him sometimes and if he ever what he does nowadays. Kind of like Link's Titan in a sense, but uh I saw people like going for 200 mils and I was like, "Whoa, like people are like doing things that aren't just like killing monsters." So that was when I started to do skilling. So I made level 3 and like I got to like base 50s and then I quit that. And I did that a few times on different accounts when I got like because like before I started like really playing, I would go through phases of like playing for a couple months and then all that kind and then like leaving for
Hmm.
like
It's
half
just
a
the
year.
phases of being a kid and playing the game.
Exactly.
It's just how life
And
goes.
then I finally sat down and dedicated time to one account and I did an untrimmed farming cape. Um, and then I quit that account after a while, and I did untrim agility cape, and I liked that account for a long time. Then I got bored of it, and then I did a free to play skiller, and then I think I did one more small project around 2014, and then 2014, 2015ish, I moved to OSRS, and then because I had watched Bodhi's One Man Army series, and I was like, oh, I want to play Iron Man. That sounds fun. So I played. Ironman, and then I made a hardcore when those came out. And then my current main that I have that's just normally used to be a hardcore Ironman at some point.
Oh, you de-ironed?
Yeah, I de-ironed it a long time ago, like
Fair.
probably like a year after hardcore came out because I died on it, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a new hardcore, so I'm gonna de-iron this one.
Fell into the
And
hardcore trap.
yes, and I was tired of the hardcore trap, so that's what kind of led me to Ultimate. Because I don't know if you ever watched I think his name was Iron No Bank or No Bank
I th
something.
I think I have, yes.
He was like one of the guys because it was like YouTube videos were titled the Andrew Gower Challenge,
Mhm.
and the challenge of playing without a bank just intrigued me so much.
I love it. I think UIM's a crazy cool mode. I just it just does not fit with my playstyle right now, that's for sure.
Yes, no, it is. It's one of those things that's like I I don't want to be a clogger on it. I just want to gain XP, and I want to do it like in this way. And
Yeah. Well,
so,
another one of my favorite players is UIM Paper Bag. I'd spoken to him in game a couple times because I ran into him at like a max party one time,
mhm,
and I was like, "Holy shit, that's
he
cool!
he's a crazy player.
Fantastic player. He's very impressive."
So, and then
Eh,
you know how I talked about making project accounts.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
I have one that I'm working on right now, so I get it.
so Mayfield originally started as a project account, and now
Okay,
and then transformed into my main because I was like, I want to do one last cool thing before I kind of like stop playing the game. So I was like, oh, I
how'd
want to
that go?
do. I wanted to do untrimmed rune crafting on a UIM level 3. Well, it was at first it was just a UIM, and then I was like, oh, I haven't played a skiller in a while, so let's make it level 3 again. And so I did RCS library, and I got 73 agility. I think I did library to like 54 rune crafting. Then I quit. They kind of for like 3 months, and then I was like playing my main again, and I was like, this is boring. And I'm like, what was fun, like working on the UIM,
Mhm.
and now here we are,
So
almost
my
3 years later.
UIM, my UIM, I started. I instantly just went right to 90 agility.
Hmm.
Like that was the first thing I did, and after that, I I went to 99 fire making average for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then I immediately went to 77 RC using the library.
Hmm.
So I it was short lived. I burned myself out on it, which my fault at the end of the day. But I had fun with it for a short time. It was I think I played that at like the start of COVID, and it was fun while it lasted. It's a very the problem is like I said, I got more into PVM. I saw my friend because he would just get in Discord and stream the tops for me because I thought it was super cool, and I would just watch, and I was like, I want to do that. I knew I couldn't do it on a hardcore, like off the rip. I just knew it. So I'm way too anxious of a person to play hardcore like that too.
Hmm.
Other than just a project, like I couldn't full time that. It would stress me out. So I started the account as a hardcore. I didn't get very far. I just was like, I think I should just die. So I'm not like thinking about it. It just stressed me out. So I just died. I was thieving and I was like, I should keep clicking. And I just did. So
No, I get it.
I
I get it.
kept
The hardcore. It is a trap. You were right.
so I just stopped with that and kept going. Finished Zulrah, got a whip because I'd always planned on being 99 attack. I used to PvP a lot back in the day. I played Max Zerks when Turmoil was a thing, so it's kind of fitting that I play one right now.
Hmm.
Um, I played Max Zerks, but nowadays it's PvP is just not what it used to be. So there's just no I don't feel a point in trying to PvP because a lot of it's just go to the wilderness, find someone doing Slayer or Callisto, attack them. I used to do a lot of like Edge, Bank, PvP World PKing
Hmm.
on Max Zerk. I thought that was like the pinnacle of PvP in my opinion was Max Zerk Edgeville, either Ditch or Edge Bank. was just the most fun. So now it's just not like people are always talking like, oh, Jagex doesn't help PvP, but it's just the community of PvP is not big enough like it used to be. You used to be able to go to Edgeville and see 100 people. You can't do that anymore. So I don't really think an update's going to save that at this point either. But you can't really convince people to do something they don't want to do. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
I'm with you. I mean, I had my fun in PvP like when I was younger. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
It was also different when everyone was bad.
Yeah, because then you had a chance at all times.
You were never you were never gonna be the dead guy 100% of the time because there was always gonna be someone worse than you.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, you were having fun. I mean, back when like Chris Archie made PvP videos, you remember
Yep.
that? Those were my favorite back when I was a kid. I loved those. So,
I remember like I love when Bodhi uses the old intro.
hmm
Because I remember watching the video that had that clip in it. The one where he uses like the AGSPK or whatever it is.
yep.
I've been watching Bodhi for a very long time.
Yeah, I used to be a big viewer of Bodhi. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube anymore. I listen if I do anything, throw on just the podcast because like I can't really. I mean, I watched TV while doing Nightmare. I will. If you sit there for as long as you do, you might as well get used to doing something else along with it
Mm-hmm.
because you will get bored, and
Exactly.
it does get boring. So it was it was fun, but thankfully I wouldn't say free of Nightmare. I still have to go back and do a few things CA wise, but I don't have to go back without feeling guilty about doing something else.
Exactly.
So
So I
yeah,
wanna. Sorry, go ahead.
I, going back to this killing thing. It's just skilling was to me there was like that. This is also back when no one had 200 mil all right. So
Yes.
there was that eternal like fact that no one had reached the peak. To me, that was so magical in a way about this
Mm-hmm.
game. Like no one had finished. The game had so much more to go, and I just loved that.
And I think we're like it's crazy because like obviously the first Iron Man ever hit 200 mil all Iron Higer just recently.
Hiker just he just hit it, and it's crazy. I always thought Dids would be the one to do it, but because Dids just played consistently, but
Mm-hmm.
Higer just did
La-
it, which is amazing.
You just lapped him basically.
He did, and he did great. Oh,
Eh,
that's very cool to see. I think is top page filled yet?
for regulars,
Yeah,
yes.
it is filled, right? I think it's
Yep,
around 30.
I believe
Let me
so.
take a
Yes.
peek. Uh oh wow, 36 people. Someone's 2 mil XP away from 37 right now.
Yeah, it's that
Jesus.
those pages are only going to get filled up. Like as the gamers keep gaming, those pages are
hmm
only going to get filled up faster.
People always have their idea of like, should I what's it called? Should they make it legacy high scores in some sort of way where it's like those people are cemented top page for a new skill? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know what they should do,
Hmm.
but it's that's on them, not me. This is not my decision, so I will stay out of it.
So we can also talk about since that poll just passed, we can also
Yeah,
talk
I
about.
voted yes.
I also
I
voted.
did.
I voted yes on two accounts.
I just voted on one, but I was just like, you know what? It might be fun. Let's just see what they pull out. Because I can always just not do it.
Exactly. Like
I really can.
yeah,
This account has no hopes of ever maxing, so and I don't care to max again. It's just like max cape is good, sure, but I don't I don't feel a weird need to do it again anyway. So I don't mind them coming out with these new skills.
and I wanna kind of go into that a little bit later because I want to dive back into what you were talking about with some of your PVM achievements. So
hmm
I wanted to ask um, two questions based on this.
Go for it.
The first question I want to ask you is, how difficult was the 45 defense Infernal, or did you do it at one defense?
It was 30. It's miserable. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Without a TiVo, it's just you. So I do you know who Semtex is?
Of course, yes.
So he's one of my close friends. There's a clip of him hitting over 20 zeros in a row on Zuck at one point, trying to spawn Jad. Ends up spawning an extra set. The same tick he spawns Jad because he's just frustrated, so he's just still attacking because he's like, what the hell's going on?
Hmm.
It's over 20 zeros in a row. And it's just the most defeating clip that you could ever possibly see in game because you just hear his frustration and it's miserable. It sucks. It was possibly like this because he went so dry for his enhanced too. And the whole goal of his account was literally just get an Infernal Cape on one defense UIM,
Hmm.
which he did. And but just that clip alone is like the summary of all low defense, no TiVo capes. It's just you just don't hit. You have to you rely on rubies. That's what gets you the KC is rubies, and then
Hmm.
set flicking is. I do you know Zerk mission?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
He hasn't played it in a while. He's been back on recently. He's great at set flicking, but set flicking is pretty rough because you have so much nerves. I've died a couple times at Zuck. It's just the nerves are the hardest part overall, and just the nerves combined with the fact that you just don't hit.
Hmm.
It just sucks.
It's like a
You're just
double. It's like
sitting
a
there
double
like
whammy.
praying. You're just sitting there praying to hit the whole time, and it's just like, sorry, man, your account wasn't built for this, and you're like, okay. So yeah, that awful. It's definitely an accomplishment, but like Unicon asked me the other day, he's like, why haven't you done more? I'm like, do you want me? Have you done it? You want to do more? It's not like it loses its fun. It's fun on a main. Like whenever tournament worlds are out, I'll just throw a main real quick on and send some for fun. Because when you're on task in max gear, it's just a blast. When every time you miss a prayer flick on a level like 2 mini blob, you get hit at 15, you're like, okay. There's no that's just the fun of it is not there without max gear on a low defense account.
Hmm.
So
So
uh
you need that
I
Tebow.
I
That
don't think you were around when Oven Locked was around, but he did like a 50 something combat UIM Infernal Cape with a magic short bow. And he started with an Addy crossbow, but ended up getting up to the rune crossbow. And that dude was the blueprint. He he just was insane back then.
that is incredible. Truly.
So there's been a plenty of gamers in this clan. Like Iron Pure, so I jump in and out of Iron Pure sometimes. Um because I have friends in other clans and I join them for events and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
Iron Pure, I try to do a lot of events in here because it's just fun. I really want people to get more into PVM on limited defense accounts because I think it's a lot of fun, and I think people don't really realize that until they kind of get into it. I was really hoping when they released Bow of Farquaad or whatever it's called, that people would get more into PVM because of that, because it's a great gateway into PVM.
Hmm.
There's no supply use, first of all. It's free. You That doesn't require anything other than, if you're a hardcore, your life to do to do CG.
Yeah, absolutely. CG is a
So
terrifying place.
like I mean Grove, I'm sure you've seen his series back in the day where he died at CG on the one defense hardcore.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of people, but it's a great entry point. It didn't quite get as many people in as I'd hoped, but I think TOA has actually done that, to be honest with you, because it's very accessible.
Which is
Um,
fantastic. I think for the raid. But like other
I don't
people
think
have
it's a bad
said,
raid. Yeah, I like it. I have fun doing it,
yeah.
especially with my friends. But the Baba puzzle room is just annoying.
And I think
But
they with the invocation stuff, I think they could have done so much more.
I hope they do so much more. I really I they it's not too late,
That's also very true. Yeah, they could definitely
they
add more
still can do a
invocations.
ton. They still have opportunity to do stuff. Like me and do you know Rad Life?
I think I see his name in the clan.
He he's a another Zerk, like mech Zerk with he has 21 pets right now.
Mhm,
He Me and him were talking about invocation stuff that they could do because there is so much potential with this system. And I think Chambers honestly could use something like this because my big problem with Chambers is scouting. No one enjoys scouting. It's
mhm.
annoying. No one likes doing it. But it's technically a part of the game. So I think with Chambers they have potential for something similar. I know it's probably they don't want to go back on it and stuff like that, but to me it's just like just do it. I
And
used to be
it's
very anti-update, but I just nowadays I'm like, if it's gonna make the game more fun, just do it.
yeah, and they could do the
Why
same
not?
thing. You could theoretically they could do the a very similar thing with Tob.
Yeah. Like TOB, well, entry mode is like, 0 info. Normal mode, 150. Hard mode, 300, well, more like 400 probably. But
Mhm,
I love TOB. Um, I think it's great. I also think I think I think it's definitely the hardest thing they've put out in this game other than Inferno, and maybe like if you discount things like speedruns and you just look at normal PVM,
mhm.
it's very difficult for a lot of people.
That's
But
why I think that's why, the TOA completions passed TOB, like, within the first 3 months of
oh, by
release,
far, yeah, people zoomed through TOA.
which is
Not that
crazy to
that
think
not that
about.
that's a bad thing, but it's just a different thing.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Uh, I mean, I will come in Iron Pure and I'll type plus any and all for TOA. I do not care if you die every single room. Just it's fun. I don't play anymore for this sense of like I don't want to say like a sense of accomplishment, but a sense of just like I'm not playing for no reason other than having fun at this
It's a
point in
game,
life.
you
So
know?
I'm
Yeah,
literally just trying to play the game.
yeah,
So
it's a fantastic outlook to have on it.
I try to keep that because I can't take it too seriously anymore because I work full time now. I've got a cat to care for somewhere around here
They exist.
hiding.
They exist somewhere.
She's existing somewhere. But so like whenever I get on, I'm always willing to I've been taking Deli a lot from Iron Pier. He's getting into PVM. He a year ago didn't have a fire cape at like probably 1750 total, and I just bullied him into getting it. And now he has like 1K Zilbra, 1K Hydra. He's learning a lot. Um, and it's just I feel like people also don't have a lot of direction with PVM. Weirdly
Mhm,
enough, considering there's so much resources about it, but like there's the gear Discord. There's so much,
mhm.
and there's so much learning opportunity. When you do raids, is say what you will about it, it's not the best place in the world. I agree, but it's the people are there to teach, and they might not really like limited defense accounts, but
They'll work with
you
you.
know if you really ask, you can definitely get someone to help you learn.
Mhm.
So
So, with
the
all that
game's
being
great. I
said
I love the game, but and I love Iron Pure. Like it's a lot of fun in here. Empty's the best. There's power creeps come out of nowhere and just become one of the like best upcoming Zerks just out of nowhere. The dude accidentally clicked defense XP on a quest, became Zerk, and just is killing it.
oh, I think I did ask him once about that, and because he said he
He did the contact quest,
oh, okay,
and
yeah.
he accidentally clicked the defense XP reward,
Oof.
and then he was like, okay, time to go Zerk, and now he's I would say he's probably the best up and coming Zerk, which not a lot of them. So you could argue that that's not a lot of competition there, but it's an accomplishment in of itself that he's playing. He's done 500 invo TOA. I haven't done that yet. I haven't really tried, but he's great. He's doing well.
Absolutely. And, that, like what you were saying was I was gonna say, it leads me into my other question when it came to PVMing on a limited defense account. How do you think the skill ceiling changes when your defense is limited between 1 and 45 or 1 and 50 if you're that, I always forget his RSN.
Totals. We
Yeah,
love Totals. He's so funny. Great
um,
guy.
so any limited defense account under 70, it's like, how does
So yeah,
that
I'll try to
change?
ramble a little less with this one, but
No, that's okay.
basically
We've still got a full hour left if we need it.
basically the difference comes down to stamina, first of all, because obviously limited defense. This may surprise people, but kills take longer for things.
Mhm.
So you have to you have to be able to keep focus, um, for extended periods of time. And prayer flicking is really the big skill ceiling right there. Is you can flick your prayers, you're good. Because I mean, for most things, obviously Baba, there's no skill in a boss like Baba where it's just, oh, even if you're in full Torva, you can take a 20 through prayer. Why? Jagex said so.
Thanks,
I don't.
Jagex.
I'm not a fan of that. And I've made that known a lot throughout the game, but because it's just kind of silly that they're like, yeah, that's the boss. It just hits no matter what. So the biggest difference is just prayer flicking at the end of it though. Especially if you can one tick flick, it's the like I'm 80 prayer right now, but the difference between 80 and 55 is my prayer potions give more prayer and I don't have to one tick flick as much. That's really it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the actual aspect of killing stuff though, like and gear switching, you don't have to have as much like the max you're doing on a pier is like a 3 or 4 way switch. You don't need to bring things like rings and gloves. And every time I see that, I'm like, what are you doing?
You just feel
There
it's unnecessary?
It's no, it's not that it just is unnecessary. The
Okay.
the DPS increase that you get from having like a boot, like a ranger boot switch, is just near non-existent. So, like I see certain people entering places like chambers with boot switches, and I'm like, and then dying on Ulm, and it's like, well, I'm not sure that's the best move.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's just at the end of it, it's just prayer flicking. If you can prayer flick, you're good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the insight. So, that leads us into update stuff. When it comes to past and future updates, as well as, of course, last thing we can talk about is a new skill, because I'm sure we'll go on that one for a minute.
Of
Um,
course.
Besides the introduction of the Iron Man game mode, what was the previous update that came out in this game that you were like, yeah, this makes sense for old school. This is like my favorite old school update so far.
My favorite old school update. Oh God.
If you
Um.
have a couple, you can name a couple.
Well, I mean, obviously, when God Wars came out, that was big. I don't like God Wars, but it's definitely part of the old school feel of like doing bandos in a group of like 3 of your friends. Like, oh my God, we got a tacit drop, and you're
Hmm.
like losing your mind because it's just back then that was a lot. So nowadays, I'm like, oh, I've got a nice 2 bill split on my hands. Like, I got a second shadow with someone from Iron Pure,
Hmm.
and it was a 1.5 bill split for both of us, and we're like, okay, cool. Let me think. What feels the most old school is that's a really tough question.
It is, I think, because I think you
Oh,
can argue there's quite a few things and quite a few not things.
Dragon Claws. I used to think claws were the coolest thing ever back in the day.
Hmm.
So when that came out in old school, I loved that. Big fan of that. Um, I think there's the. Do you have a favorite?
I So do you remember how Dragon Claws came into the game originally?
Yes, the demonics. The
From
the effectively they were the
torment
demons. The
tormented,
tormented
yeah.
tormented demons. Yeah.
So
I thought those were the scariest thing ever when I was a kid. I was like, "These are scary."
so did I, and
That
that's
was
why I love, like, the Monkey Menace 2 Demonic Grills update.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like the monsters that also prey above their heads. I think it's a very old school style monster as well, even though it's pretty new, but my favorite update of all time is Zaya. I know that's, like, a controversial one.
That definitely is a controversial one. I do not like I do, but I do not like Wintertod because I think it almost gives fire making a purpose other than just existing.
Mhm,
Um, but at the same rate, it's just it prints money. It just is how you play early game Iron if you're not like Soul Wars boosting. So,
mhm. I
um,
just I just think that Zaya came with so much, and it still can
it
carry
did.
so much
It
potential.
did. The Farming Guild,
The
love
wood
that place.
Yeah, the Woodcutting Guild,
Woodcutting Guild's cool.
with
Farming
the
Guild's great.
that added the evil chicken thing.
Chambers is just some of the best content in game too.
Mhm,
It's like Ulm. The Ulm fight is there's so much to it that you just don't know about until you're knee deep in it, trying to learn how to do like 4 to 0 P3 with just taking 0 damage but being tick perfect and all, it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun when you get it. It's one of the most rewarding things to get down.
mhm.
And I still don't have it down very well in my opinion. Like there's like Empty, if you look at him doing a solo chambers, it's night and day. With, a third of my gear, like if you took me and then took him with a third of my gear, he would probably still pace the same time that I do. Uh he's, just chambers is so detailed without even people realizing. I don't think even the Jamelons realized how detailed chambers one was when they made it. So
'Cause there was, like, so many things people found out, like, not like, years after the fact.
I don't know. Have you seen the method where it's you use Shadow and Scythe on P3 and you take 0 damage?
Mm-mm.
It's just insane. I think Lord Hisoka figured it out. He's a great PVMer. He sometimes streams on Twitch, but I think his video is what I saw. And it's just the whole both hands at the same time, just dead. Because the shadow hits like 60s in chambers or something ridiculous and ancestral. And
Mhm.
Scythe is, of course, just I mean, I can hit 77s in chambers with it, so if you got a full Torva main, it's even better.
And it's crazy
Um,
to think about, like, how all these new updates are still affecting, older PVM content and how things have
yeah,
changed and, like
I actually really like that because I feel like it revitalizes all the old content. Like, it's not like we're just getting so TOA did not just bring one new raid. It changed how a lot of other stuff is done with the Fang, with the ring, with the staff. Missouri not as much. It's Inferno speedrunning, for example, is still just you have to just hit max every hit if you want rank one. It didn't. There's no like. I'm pretty sure Crystal was still really a good move in there because of the defensive bonuses, but I don't know exactly. I haven't paid attention for a minute to that. But I have a lot of friends who enjoy Inferno speeds, so
Mhm. I mean, can you imagine showing, like, the 6 to 0 Bofa Bandos or Zami methods to somebody from 2014?
I mean, back when Chambers came out, the meta for melee hand was to do 1 to 0 with an Elder Maul pretty much
Mhm.
for solos. Like Wooks figured that out and everyone was like, "Holy, this is insane." And, you know, it wasn't known how you can do all this crazy running of the hands and stuff like that. So it's the variety that new content brings to old is insane. Um Twisted Bow changed how God Wars was done. Bandos had to be literally changed because of the Twisted Bow.
Mhm. Yeah, didn't it,
Bandos
like, shred
stats were
Bandos?
changed. Bandos's stats were changed in game because of the T-bow. So, uh, stuff like that is just it's insane. Corp is now changed because of the TOA update. Next, new content, it's changed now because of TOA. Melee next is now the move with the Fang.
Yeah,
So
which is
it's,
crazy to think about.
uh even smaller bosses like Sarachnis and stuff like that, you can just go with Fang. It's pretty good there. I tried it. Uh, I don't know about the wildy bosses really, but
I think people use the Fang
it's
on Vedion
okay.
if they
Or
don't
I think
have a
Callisto
Vigoras.
maybe as well. I don't know.
I think it's
Um,
only if you don't have Vigoras. As an
yeah,
iron, of
well, fair, of
course.
course. Vigor's is so the project account I want to do would be a 30 defense hardcore with 60 attack, and I just try to get it ranked at Nightmare with a if I could get like a mace. That would be like the project account I would want to do,
Mhm.
and then just quit.
That's fair.
Like just leave it there. Yeah, it would end up being like probably 80 something combat and just get those KC and stop. But yeah, no, so now shadows you can shadow corp, you can fang corp, you can shadow bandos, you can shadow zilly, you can shadow KQ. Uh I think you can shadow both faces of KQ if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Uh it, none of this has changed TOB really. That's the only place it's like not really adjusted. I think Lightbearer might be something you can do with duos, maybe. I'm not
Is it
exactly sure. I
isn't the
haven't
Fang just a
watched.
good alternative now instead of having Blade or
Oh yeah,
Rapier?
actually that's true. So now you really don't need to go for 2 enhanced seeds if you want to stay like 80 attack and go for TOB. You can just get a Fang, get 82, and use that. It's worse in some situations, better in some. So you know it balances out a little bit. But
Mhm.
if you're one defense doing TOB, DPS isn't you don't need the cookie to split hairs on DPS. You just gotta play it well.
Mhm.
As long as you know what you're doing, that's what matters most. I would rather go with someone who's worse DPS that knows what they're doing than someone who has, max gear but ranges Zarpus or something, you know?
And isn't ranging sharpness like an actual thing people do, like a
I
method?
mean, yeah, it's fine. There's no problem with it. It's just if you have a scythe and you're blowpiping Zarpus, you're trolling. That's all.
That's fair.
It's it's not that difficult once you just gotta learn it. I feel like people are afraid of just watching a guide. Like I don't know why. I have friends who are like averse to learning stuff. They're like, I'd rather just try to brute force it. I'm just like, why?
People have already
You
like
don't
came up with the method. You don't need to.
you don't have to brute force anything. You can just look up this video on YouTube and it'll show you how to do it. It's right there. But I don't know. People are people. So
True.
do what they want. Have
Uh,
you
s-
what's the extent of your PVM experience? Just so I know.
my PvP experience.
I know you
So
said you've done like 2 or 3 of each raid in that Ult Pure cast. That was great by the way. I love Ult Pure.
thank
Fantastic guy.
thank you. Yeah, it was really fun talking to him. I know we didn't get into everything I want to talk to him about either. So I know we plan to do another at least a part two with him in
I'd love
the
to hear that. He has been around for ever.
yeah.
He's one of the original Iron Pure kind of people, so it's great to hear that. He's seen the history that I like have been told pretty much because,
Mhm,
I'm still pretty new. If you look at accounts like B and Empty that have been around so much longer,
mhm.
it's just like, oh, it's like I've barely scratched the surface of being here, it feels like.
So
So
I'll say my experience is like, I've my main had Quest Cape, like I've done Vorkath. Still not very good at it, but I've done
that's
Vorkath.
fair.
I've done Gauntlet and CG. There was actually a
Okay.
point where I was like so bored at work some days, I would have a phone hotspot and I would do CG on a phone hotspot. Sounds like probably my like
Okay.
most like 100 ping CG is like my most accomplished PVM task.
I mean, CG's, especially on a limited defense account, people struggle with it a lot. It's really it's the awareness of like clicking while to like dodge stuff while
Mhm.
changing your prayers while eating. It's like getting the multitasking of PVM down is what it kind of does. I feel like for people.
It definitely,
Um,
like, helped me improve it helped, like, even just doing some CG, I was like, "Oh, Vorkath feels like a much easier boss now."
I feel like yeah, I feel like CG is really one of the places where people can kind of get a feel for PVM. That's why I like it a lot. Because I know people don't like the CG meta for Iron Man. You go, you get a Bofa, then you get everything.
It's also one of those really accessible pieces of content.
Well, you don't need anything to do it. It's free. You don't have to have gear.
You just
You
have to have the
can
stats to do Song of the Elves, and then
you can
you do the
you can
quest.
do it at 80 combat stats. especially if you have defense or chambers prayers on like a normie. Uh, Even augury alone is like 2 mil and very helpful. So it's the place that it. I think I'd been in Iron Pier for about a year when or maybe not even a year when CG Debofa came out
Hmm.
and it changed to an enhanced seed because no one had really I think like Stud had done it, but I think NATO had done it. Not a lot of people had really gone for a blade.
Because the blade just
Uh
it was good, right? But it wasn't
it
like.
just the time spent getting it, especially back then when CG was worse because the QOL of it wasn't as good,
Hmm.
where like the demis wouldn't just spawn in kind of not fixed spots, but there wasn't that guarantee of 6 total demis, 2 of each, or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how it was back then, but it was just I know it was a lot more RNG based,
Hmm.
to say the least.
Absolutely.
Um, so I think it helped a lot of people in clan kind of get their foot in the door of PVM,
Hmm.
as well, which is, in my opinion, a great thing. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with it. I just feel like people are kind of hesitant to try it or like ask for help because I mean, if someone in clan wants to learn TOB, they can just ask because I mean, I'll say yes depending on the situation. 31 Prey, by the way, if you know him, he was taking Lingard to TOB and I came along. Uh, I've taken back when I can't remember what his name was. This guy just joined clan one day and asked if anyone wanted to do it with Hobbs. We did a couple duos, then we started taking some people. Uh, it's just a lot of fun. People just need to try it. There's a lot of aversion to trying it, so just
Hmm.
trying to always be like, "Hey, everyone, it's PVM." I very much so am. I get called the PVM police sometimes by Skim if you know him,
Yep.
because I'm always like, "Why are you skilling? Stop it!" Because he got 299s recently, and I was yelling at him. I was like, "Go back to Nightmare." Uh,
Get your mace.
I'm like, Skim, go get the set. Stop dilly dallying. But it's not a fun place. I don't blame people who don't want to do it very much.
Hmm. Well, that's the thing.
It's
Like with my project hardcore that I'm working on, that of course I'm in this clan as well. Um, with you guys. Only been in a short time, but like I think the motivation of seeing how far you, Alt Peer, and everybody you've talked about have gotten
There's
on
some
the.
crazy people. I don't know. Did you ever? I'm guessing you didn't see Rec ever back when he was around. That guy was crazy. WhatsApp was crazy. Fucking. There's been so many crazy people that have come in, and you're like, huh?
Yeah,
You've done that? You're like, what?
yeah.
Like,
It's one of
huh?
those things where it's like, well, now I'm motivated to at least get to the stage where I can like get to do some TOA, Cox, or
Mm-hmm.
Tob with people, because it's like these are raids
POA
like
is
you had
just the raid to
asked.
start with now. Yeah.
Yeah, when you had asked, you had been like, "So what's your raid experience?" Well, I've done one entry mode Tob. I've
Yep.
done like 5 or 10 total chambers, and then I've done
Okay.
one regular TOA.
So TOA has also changed up the meta a bit now too. It's not really, you don't. I mean, you still the Iron meta is still just get Bofa, get Crystal Armor, then do everything. But now you can skip a lot of stuff because of Fang and Staff. You don't, TOB is not really a need right now because a lot for mains you can just get Lance, you can get Shadow, and you're good. You can send chambers all day.
Hmm.
Um, it used to be TOB was the goal, but now it feels like it's kind of switched up a little bit. So, which is cool. No, I like it. It gives a variety to the meta of it
Absolutely, yeah.
because
I think my initial goal is to get to TOA. I can get a Fang at least.
if you get a Fang, the rest of the game is open.
So I think after Fang, I want to go for like the things I need to do chambers. So like of course like Trident in the beginning.
Yep,
Um,
Trident's very accessible.
well, for me, Slayer is my brick wall. I hate
I
Slayer.
I'm not a big Slayer fan either. I'll be real with you.
I'm glad there's somebody else on my side because it
No,
seems like every
it's
person I
just
talk to is like, "Oh, I love Slayer." I'm like, "How?"
Slayer Escape is not something I'm a fan of. It's just not. It's just I don't really enjoy it. You know, you have to do these things. You know, it's just this is how you get this XP to get this item.
Mhm.
You know, and
Exactly.
things like Sire, you have to have a task to do. I don't love
And,
that. I also
Kraken, you
don't
have to have
love
a
this.
task.
I don't love the system of you get a drop to try to get a drop with Sire. It's just put the things on the boss's drop table. Why do you go and put it in a fountain? You know,
I think it's an interesting concept.
it just feels excessive.
I don't like that the pet's on it. I think
Yeah,
I think the pet should just come from the boss, not from the unsired.
another hill I will die on is jars should not be tradable.
Oh, absolutely, it should not be tradable.
It's stupid. It's very dumb. They just lose any coolness because they're tradable for normies. And irons just by default, it's just not as cool because it's just not as cool in general.
Mhm. 'Cause yeah,
So
it's a cool it's like a drop akin to a pet, but yeah, it's tradable, so it's like, well,
it's a pet adjacent drop that is buyable. So it's just kind of pointless. Then again, some pets are buyable. Sure, like the A pet, you know, you just a lot of people just buy gambles for that.
mhm.
But that's that's not every pet.
Well, Soul Wars, you have,
So
like, you can just boost, like we talked about.
oh yeah, that dolo boosting is insane. So like I said with that project account I want to do, it's just you can dolo boost and make all the money you need to start the account right there. You're set.
Mhm.
It's uh, I wasn't a big fan of the Soul Wars update. I felt like it was just kind of not something the game really needed.
It was also something that, like, people, like, asked for it, and I think people forgot how, boring Soul Wars is.
It's just not. There's no like because then you've got some people sweating. You've got some people who just don't care. Then you've got some level threes just kind of moping around type. You know, actually, I think do you need 40 combat to do Soul
Yep,
Wars now?
you're required to have
Okay.
40 combat in,
So you've got like
OSRS.
10 HP people just chilling there with flowers in their hand, vibing. Then you got, it's a lot.
I think if they were gonna bring back any minigame from that era, I would have said Stealing Creation.
I am right there with you.
I think that was a fun minigame.
That was a lot of fun when I was a kid. I had a lot of fun doing that. Remember the berserker shields?
Yes,
Those were hysterical.
from the guy was it, what's that minigame called? The Gothics one?
Um, the stealing isn't that wasn't that from Stealing Creation?
No, the Stealing Creation stuff was, like, the, XP boosting pickaxes and axes and shit.
Oh yes, what was it? Clay or something they were called, or like
I don't remember exactly. God, I could probably look it up on, like, the regular RuneScape wiki, but the Berserker shields, they came from the
oh, Fist of
Fist of
Gothics.
Gothics, that's what it was, yes.
Fist of Gothics was also fun.
I also would have loved that one to come back instead of Soul Wars. That was another minigame that I enjoyed.
They had they had some good options. I just don't think Soul Wars was the good option.
Exactly. I think that at that point, I think we have to move away now from minigames of RuneScape in that era, and we have to have old school specific
The
stuff. Because
best
like,
I mean, I feel like TOB really wasn't an RS3 kind of clone to me. I don't at least I don't not that I know of.
no,
And to me it's the best thing they've added to the game. So,
yeah, I agree. I think I believe TOB is I believe you're correct with that. Because even, like, the Chambers stuff, it's kind of akin to Dungeoneering, and the Twisted Bow
oh, for sure.
is basically a carbon copy of some bow from RS3. I don't people have told me that. I don't know how if that's true or not, but I that's what I've heard.
I would believe it, so it's true. Just kind of taking a guess there and saying it's true because yeah, I TOB just it was just they put it out and it was great and I loved it. People, there was also the magic of people trying to figure it out that TOA didn't quite have as much, which
Mhm.
I was not a big fan of it being like I like that it's accessible, but I also don't at the same time
Yeah, it's
because that I was doing it day one.
mhm,
It was like it wasn't figured out, but it wasn't
impossible.
unbeatable. Whereas
Yeah,
TOV was very different. You had the TOV was a struggle. I think it took people forever to really figure it out. So
and that's what I think we need more of is content that takes time and content
So
that like gets more efficient over time.
they have this Desert Treasure 2 bosses they want to bring out, and I'm really hoping that has a more TOB feel to it.
I can see it having that because there hasn't been as far as I'm aware, there's no Desert Treasure 2 in regular RuneScape. So they'll be pulling things that are like, you know, brand new. But I know they mentioned
I think this is how they want to put Virtus armor into the game,
that's
which
yes, and I don't know. I
my
was
opinions on that are kind of split, whereas it's like Ancestral's really, really good and really hard to get because Chambers drop rates, which, Chambers drop rates to me is a whole different topic of I think they're too harsh.
yes.
Um, I
There are
think the
many
fact that
bosses. I think there are a few things like that.
it takes 30 solos to go on rate for what is a 60% chance of being a prayer scroll that is useless after you get one.
Mhm.
So it's like, yay, another scroll.
Woo.
Uh, yippee. Um, but because here's the thing, they're gonna make it. You need to break down ancestral. It's just gonna happen, and whether or not that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know, because it could be like, with Bandos armor for Torva, you can break down any pieces to make any Torva item, right?
Mhm.
So if you can break down any ancestral piece to make, a Virtus robe bottom, if you never got ancestral bottoms, I see how that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
it's like
I
there's a
can see that
fine
too.
line between this devalues things versus this just makes things a little bit better.
I just wish that they would have steered away from the Nex armors and made their own version.
I do too. I don't
I
think Next is great. It's just not.
it's not fun content.
There's not a lot of depth to it in like a big sense. There's depth, but it's just not. I think the potential is there. I really wish they'd just hire Kieran to make content again instead of whatever managerial stuff he does, because he's put out some of the best stuff in game
Mhm.
for his Inferno. So keep his pay. I don't care. He deserves it. He's done great stuff for the game, but his content was just so good. He put out some great stuff. So I'd love to see him behind the chair with content again.
And that's the hard part.
Um,
I think that like, everybody I think a lot of us want that feeling of the top, the Inferno, the Chambers when it
of
first came out.
the it's not nostalgia. It's like this new sense of like, how do we do this? It's like a community. Because it's a community game.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean.
Um, it's a community game, so it's fun seeing the community go crazy on Twitch, saying like, "Oh, did you guys see this for this?" I'm not a big Twitch viewer, but when new stuff comes out, everyone's on Twitch. Everyone's seeing what's going on.
Mhm. I was in college when Cerberus came out, and I remember, like, I had a 4-hour break between classes at some point, and I lived, like, an hour away, so it didn't I just sat in, like, the cafeteria or whatever and just, watched shit, and I remember Foe doing Cerberus on the day of release, and he had, like God, then that was when he only had, like, 500 viewers regularly. I think he had, like God, it was, like, 4 or 5K.
I got banned in Foe's chat one time. Um, I so I'm not a big group Ironman fan. I'll put that out there. It's just like it's just not a. I just felt like it was not a necessary game mode for them to add to this game,
I played it for 3
and
months, had my fun, and I'm never gonna touch it again.
it's definitely something that I think was more akin to a league.
A what?
A league,
Okay, okay, okay.
which, is not my game mode either, but I understand why people like it.
I
Um,
love leagues.
I so they went to do TOB on their group irons, and they were splashing in like on mating crabs in full elite void,
Mhm,
which Zerks can 100% freeze an elite void pretty easily using gear that doesn't require a lot of time to get, and they had so. And because they at that point, I believe, also had augury and stuff like that, that makes it even easier. So I advertised a service Discord in his Twitch chat so they could get ancestral, so they would stop splashing as a
mhm.
joke. And I got insta banned for it.
Oh my
And then
god.
then he unbanned everyone on accident. And I typed LFG top time, and I got one tick banned again. So it's, respect. It's funny. He's not a content creator for me. I was just watching the tops because I thought it was funny. And Mr. Mammal dying always made me laugh. Uh no, I think it's best that he died so everyone can actually work on their own accounts. But
Yeah, I
but
think the group Iron Man hype was fun for like
the
2 or
group
3.
Iron Man hype was more akin to a lead, though. You see what I mean? Like
Yes, that's why I think it
it
was I
it
think it was
it,
fun for like 2 or 3 months, and then I was like,
it
"Okay,
burned out and then faded away.
yeah."
It did.
I'm like, "I'm
People
ready to watch something else again."
I'm ready to watch another hardcore remake now.
Yes, see,
So
the only hardcore remakes I like are like, God, I can't think of his name right now, but he does the high risk hardcore. His
Poison
name
Potions hardcore was fun.
Dude, that
I
was
like
super
that series a
fun.
lot. I
But the
don't know, does he still I haven't seen any of his videos if he still makes
so
any, but
so now he's doing, like, wilderness money making stuff. I think he's
oh,
talked
that's
about
cool.
working on another hardcore series, but he died again very early on, I think,
Uh, how
on
did he
one.
die on the old one? I cannot remember.
I also can remember. I'd have to go back and watch the series, but man, I love that series.
It
And
was a lot of
then
it was a lot of fun. He did great, it's the theatrics of it were fun, the just the whole, like, the just everything. It was just fun. Like, it
mhm.
brought back just a feeling of joy. It wasn't it didn't take itself overly seriously. He wasn't going crazy. He was just having fun, and it showed. It's just like Swampletics was just this like magnum opus of content, and
And Tile Man is just not the same.
Pileman's just it's I like it because it's settled,
Yes, I
but it's
watch it because it's
just
settled, but I
I
don't
watch it
watch.
because it's settled. I I do not think Tileman is the game mode. I would have loved to have seen him do either a hardcore or a pure. I might be biased in saying a pure, but I don't care. Um,
I know he said that he's going to release another series next year.
but would love to see some kind of like because I think hardcore pures are really cool because you get to the end game pretty quick. I don't
Yeah.
know if you know who XZN is.
Name
He
sounds
just
familiar.
recently died on a hardcore pure that was doing top and hard mode with a blade. He's a very skilled player.
Mhm.
I wish Exact was still playing full time, selfishly. Like, I'm glad he's living his life doing what he wants, of course, but
Yes, I
he's
also
just
selfishly have a
he
very similar desire.
pretty much for old school, other than Old Melody, favorite player. It's just he's just too good. It's
He,
unfair.
he's an incredible player.
He
It's
is very, very good. So there's so much potential with peers that people haven't really hit that I think people can hit. Um, and I would love to see. So I tell people to make accounts like these all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I've I try to befriend as many, limited irons as I can
mhm,
because it's a fun community. We do a lot of weird stuff. People there's weird people here, but there's normal people here too. It's a lot of fun.
mhm.
Um
I would say because even when I made my old Iron Man
yeah, you have
pure,
that 30 defense one, right?
yeah, and I never knew about this clan back then. Otherwise,
So
I may
I
have actually played that to this day if I did.
it's I would love to do a weird 30 defense build. I'm not going for Inquisitor again. I that's just a bad idea for me.
I say the reason I
Is
did it is because I always wanted a 30 defense terminal pure back in the day.
I that's they were so much fun.
And that's like that was kind of my ambition. And then they released the Nightmare, and I was like, well, now they have a best in slot armor for a 30 defense.
That's just a
So
little bit rough to get.
yeah, and I was like, so I want to try and get it. And then me and my roommate, who I talked about a little earlier, we made twins. So he made one, I made one, and he what I was doing stuff pretty casually, like pretty chill, like still playing a lot of hours, but I was like not like speeding through things. He
You
rushed.
weren't hard focusing.
Yes, he rushed 85 crafting in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Damn.
and then he burned out immediately. He got the fury, and then he was like, okay, I'm done.
It's like, okay, I did it a little bit. Bye.
Yeah, so if I think that had I found this clan either before or after he burned out, I may have kept playing the account. Because I played that account back when Twisted League came out.
Gotcha.
Like right before Twisted League, a couple months before Twisted League is when I started playing it. And then I played a bunch of Twisted League, planned to AFK on the 30 defense and do like 90 something mining so I could do some smithing, get some bolts for PVM coming up, and then just kind of stop playing it.
Yeah, well, I think like 30 defense is in theory really cool, but just 45 is just the way, or 42 and 45 feel like just the way to go.
Especially because when with 42, 40, 42, 45, you get lunars, you get access to all the bosses in the game. You're not limited.
You're just on the cusp of having everything that you might as well just do it. Is the kind of feeling I get from
Yes.
30 defense.
Yes. And
So
like I said, it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh man, I want this like feeling of being able to have this pure I never got to have," and then I without turmoil, I'm never gonna have that, and I'm very happy with the announcement of the new prayer book that they're not going curses. I'm
yeah, I
so
think I there's stuff from that era that I think is really cool and would be fun, but I also have hope that they can do something cooler, you
yes,
know?
and that's like
Lore-wise, as I don't really care too much about lore. I'll admit it, I save that for games like Dark Souls. Um,
fantastic series. That's what my hardcore's name is from. It's from
oh really?
Elden Ring.
Oh, I couldn't get into Elden Ring.
Really? Oh my god,
Yeah,
I thought it
no,
was
I love Dark Souls 3, I love Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1 and 2 are still, very enjoyable games to me, but Bloodborne's like the pinnacle to me, and Elden Ring just felt like it kind of fell flat, in my opinion.
that's fair. It wasn't for everybody, but for me, it was like probably one of my favorite games of all time.
I would it's like one of the I don't play a lot of outside like other games than this. I played Days Gone. Loved that. That was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And I played Dying Light, the original one, because I got it on Steam for like $8, I think, or something.
Yeah,
It's a pretty short game, also very fun.
it's a very
Just like
it's a
the
very fun game to just
Yeah,
chill
it's
and
just
play.
sometimes I need to turn my brain off for a second and play a fun little game to revitalize my enjoyment of this game. I gotta see what the other side's like a little bit.
Yeah, a couple months back, I got super addicted to Minecraft for a month, and then I've never been more interested in playing RuneScape after my Minecraft burnout.
Yeah, Minecraft is a great game to go back to at least once a year. I think me and I lost a bet this Zerk. We played that for like a couple weeks straight last year or this year, I can't remember exactly.
Hmm.
It was a lot of fun.
My
He got mad at me because I spawned in a pair of the wings because I died and lost mine.
the Elytra.
Yeah, Elytra.
My friends made a server, and then my final moment for Minecraft was I was playing a hardcore world, and I was like having fun playing it, and then I and then I died, and I was like, well, back to RuneScape.
Yep, always. Well, back to it always comes back to you. You can't
Exactly.
escape it.
And
The game's unquittable.
I would play like 5 hours a week. Like even when I like don't play, I still play like 5 hours a week, if it's just like AFK while I'm eating or watching YouTube.
hmm
But yeah, now I'm like,
I've tried to feel less guilt about like not logging in recently. I like trying to relax and enjoy life more.
that I
But
have that's something I struggle with for a very long time.
I just like I'm like, oh, I gotta play, I gotta play, I gotta play, I gotta play, and it's just like, no, I can log out. I can go because I like to read. I read a lot of books. Don't really watch a lot of TV shows, but I watch the occasional. Um, I kind of want to watch the last season of Walking Dead without any context of the rest of it because
Me and
now I
my
kind of
Honestly,
sorry what
me and my partner have watched the first 10 seasons, and we're waiting for the final season to get on Netflix or like find it
yep
somewhere for free.
fair. I kind of just want to see how it ends, to see how it ends. And I know they're doing like spin-off series that always have potential to be cool. Whether or not they are, different story.
So they've
Love
already
like
finished two of them, so
oh okay, that's cool.
yeah,
Sure, it'll be
it's
interesting.
one of those really big shows that like
It's a huge franchise. It's
yeah.
massive. I mean, so I'm from Florida. Halloween Horror Nights, Walking Dead has used to dominate every year. There was
Hmm.
a always a Walking Dead house, no matter what. Um, Not anymore, but for years it was just Walking Dead, Walking Dead, Walking Dead, Walking Dead.
I think because
So
it came out at the perfect time. It came out during like the big zombie thing.
the zombie craze is huge, and I love my favorite media is like TV wise and movie wise is generally post apocalypse stuff. It's a lot of fun
Yeah.
to me. So uh I think The Walking Dead had great potential. I think Negan was cool as hell. But
Yeah, dude, I think the Negan, like,
that
his
era was sick.
the Negan era, did you ever get to the Whisperers?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Those are the guys who wear, like, the dead faces, right?
yeah, like, the
Okay.
Negan arc was crazy, and then the Whisperers arc, like, doesn't top it, but keeps it at, like, the same level of being like, "Holy, like, what's going
Yeah,
to
it's
happen
just, like,
next?"
I feel like they got caught in the trap of, like, they need to one up themselves every time, which and it's just I also don't like when things go too long. Like, I have friends who tell me to watch things like One Piece, and I'm like, "I'm not doing that. It's too long. It's not
Me,
worth it.
I'm in
I don't
the I see,
I'm
that's
not
what's
doing
one
that.
piece of media that I'm going to say is worth it.
I'm not gonna watch it. It's
You
too
don't have
long. I
I
don't
mean,
care.
if you watch, like, 1 episode a week, you'll be caught up in, like
Couple of years,
yeah,
yay."
no, you'll be caught up in, like, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, no, it's just that's too much. Like, things my favorite form of art is art that shows up in a blaze of fire and goes out that very same way. It
See,
doesn't
and, like, I think
take
all
forever.
art has a place. I think all, like, long-standing art and then art that you just described, it all definitely has a place for everybody in their own.
Yeah, like, my favorite album of all time is, like, the band's 2nd album, and then they just broke up. Like, they released the album as they broke up. It's, Odyssey to the West by Slice the Cake. It's, like, a progressive death metal album,
Didn't Slice the
and,
Cake just break up?
again, yes, they came back I have that album cover tattooed on my thigh.
Nice.
It's, I music is the thing I consume most of media-wise.
Oh,
I,
definitely same, definitely same.
I used to work at a record label doing in-house art and design, uh, also some managerial stuff, not a ton, but some. And I've got a couple other albums tattooed up. One of my next tattoos is gonna be Deftones related. That band. I already have a Deftones related tattoo, but I want another one.
Mhm.
Probably an all-time favorite of mine. So I would love that. I listen to them while doing Nightmare a lot, or I did listen to them while doing Nightmare a lot. So it's that 1,200 kills was a long time because I did die a fair bit, not a ton. I had like 200 deaths, so not that bad. But because I also learned it on this account as well,
Yeah.
so it's a lot of music listened to while doing that for sure. So I
So I
didn't
think
really spend time searching out words either. I
mhm.
just kind of listened to what I had and kept going.
I think that's an amazing thing about music is, like, it doesn't matter what language it's in, doesn't matter if it's screaming,
I
singing.
listen to so I my degree in college was Mandarin Chinese.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's very impressive.
I've spent a lot of time listening to foreign music, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and I love foreign music. It's the fact that people can express the same feelings and emotions in completely different ways using such different words to me is always insane.
Yeah, language is an incredible thing.
It's a different level of like humanity that has it's just wild to me. So
Mhm.
I love it. I love music. Music's great. Books are great. All art is awesome. Art keeps the world going to me.
Absolutely. That's why
So
when people are like, when people tell, like, artists, like, get a real job, and I'm like, "Okay, well,
no, don't get a real job.
who's gonna fucking what are you gonna do in your off time then,
Your life
Susan?"
is worth more than what you think it is.
Exactly.
So, and that's rich coming from me who sits here and plays RuneScape all day if I can.
I mean,
But
everybody, like, treats their life differently, so you don't
I
have
mean, it's a form of escapism too. It's just
it's true.
how life is. Life isn't an easy thing. No one asked to be born. No one was handed a contract that says, "Do you want to be born at birth?" It was just, "You are here, now you live." And if you need to, go through over whatever escapist thing you need to go through, that's what you do. So,
Mhm.
for a lot of people, they have fun clicking in this little pixelated world, going for items. And I have fun hanging out with those people, Discord, while doing that same thing. Like, I talked to, there's a couple people in here that I regularly just get in Discord with. So it's great. We have fun. That's what matters. That's the what's it called?
The mantra.
That's the mantra I've been trying to go with is just have fun. Stop focusing on like ultra giga EHP, and just hang out, have a good time. Yeah, I still do a lot of I still want to do more TOB. It's not I don't need it, but I just like doing it, so I just do it.
It's fun, do it if it's
Yeah,
fun.
it's
That's
fun.
the important
There's
thing.
I just want to have fun. I like helping my friends learn more content, so I'll always take people to do stuff. Like I've been taking people to TOA a bunch recently, like I've said. I ask people if they want to come. If I don't care if they've never done it, it doesn't matter. Just come. Just have fun, just get in voice, don't get in voice. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Just if you don't know how to do the raid, that's fine. It's just you gotta learn somehow. Everyone has to learn.
Exactly. It's all about, and that's like, I think learning with somebody who knows what they're doing is half the fun, because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
then you also, as the person teaching, you get to watch them like expand their
I
game
mean,
knowledge and become better in real time.
oh, for sure. Yeah, it's like like I said with Deli, he's one of my good friends in the game. A year ago, he had no clue how to do anything, and now he's up there learning solo TOAs and stuff like that, and having a great time, and it's awesome.
It's like
Uh,
watching a little caterpillar turn into a beautiful butterfly.
it's like my project account is other people's accounts because I'm trying to help them get better. I'm by no means the best in the game. I'm not even close to the best in the clan. Empty is a billion trillion gazillion miles beyond who I could ever be.
Mhm.
So it's like that's also great for me because it's like I've got someone to look up to, like as this like figurehead of like I can keep striving. 9900 has just got GM on Zerk. One line got GM on Zerk. That's stuff to look at and be like, wow, the ceiling is perpetually getting higher in this game, which is another thing I love about it. I feel like there's a lot of games have a limit. This one doesn't. This one keeps going.
The tick system really like helps us
100 BPM, baby.
become innovative at all, like with all different facets of the thing, because it's like this weapon fires at this speed, so it can be used in these aspects, and like this other weapon can be used in these other aspects, and so on and so forth.
Like people get so creative in this game. It's
Mhm.
such a simple game, but people do so much creative stuff. It's great. Like
It's incredible.
so, one of the people in the clan the other day, they were like, "Hey, I'm considering going 30 defense. How viable is Nightmare with this gear?" I just went and did a kill with it, and I was like, "You're good. You can do it. Just you just got to do it." And it's just like like Nightmare, weak to crush, right?
Mhm.
Guess what works perfectly well on Nightmare?
The Fang.
The Osmunten's Fang. I
Mhm.
went and did a kill with it in monk robes the other day with like an adamant defender and like a like I was wearing climbing boots and a Santa hat, and I was like, "Yep, 10-minute kill. You're good. You can do it." You know, it's it's just a matter of going and testing these things out, trying them a couple times, and seeing how it goes. Solo chambers, it's crazy seeing people do stuff like that with such limited gear. I'm not a big fan of like the limited prayer style because I feel like it just kind of gets rid of a lot of the game for you. But 31 Prey, for example, he can do solo chambers perfectly fine, and he does it. So like that's cool.
Well, yeah, what he does on
It's
that limited prey account is
he I wish he'd get prayer because he's very good at the game. Like just I've seen him play his main a lot and do other stuff, and great player. But and even with limited prayer, he does very well. It's just I'm like, what could this man do on a 42 defense if he just gave himself prayer?
mhm,
Uh, there's so much people to look up to in this game that like just keep raising the ceiling. That makes it so appealing to a lot of people as well.
which is like, it's always good to have that like next step. Like
Yeah,
if
and people come out of nowhere too. Like I had no idea who Noob Type was until a couple months ago, and this dude just did a 1+2 solo TOA pretty much, 600 invocation. Like, huh?
I remember when Port Kazard did the first 500,
Yeah.
People are going
and
crazy.
then you think, okay, that's the limit. Nope, that's not the limit. People are already doing way more.
Mm-hmm.
And Inferno, when that first came out, it was the hugest accomplishment ever if you just beat it. And I don't know if you pay any attention to Inferno speeds,
I watch
but
Adicon sometimes.
the top 3 are all sub 43 minutes right now,
That
which,
is
and
insane.
I don't think Addy's even, like, on the top 25 times, if I remember correctly. I can probably go check. He's insane too, though, of course. That's not to diminish him by any means,
He's just
but
like the bigger content creator that I've
he is the streamer for, like, speed running pretty
yeah.
much. He just, he has that he has that niche filled pretty much.
Mhm.
RuneScape's and I love watching the Inferno speeds because it's just, you're like, how do you know this stuff so well? These people are just like, it's like they've studied it. It's crazy. So there's so much potential with this game. I just really, really, really hope Jagex doesn't mess it up,
Mhm.
because it's the game is timeless, to be honest. It just hits the part of someone's brain for some reason, for some people, like it does with mine, and it just keeps me locked in.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping, like, I
100%.
don't want this peer update to come through because I feel like it removes the limitations of a lot of limited defense stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I've been very vocal about that. I'm probably annoying about it. I vote no whenever I can. Um, because it's like, if I can use a lance, what's the point of me being 45 defense in the first place? If I can get a quest cape, why am I 45 defense?
Yeah.
If I can do all this stuff, like, might as well just give me Torva at that rate at 1 defense.
Yeah. Might as
Like,
well.
where's the line? Where are you, if we're gonna keep crossing it? I don't think the Monkey Madness thing was bad by any means. I liked that, but where's the line in the end after all this stuff, if it were to go through?
Mhm. I was surprised about the Monkey Madness thing. I was obviously very pleased
I
with
think
it.
it's a great idea. I think it's great to give peers more gear switches as well that actually mean something.
Mhm. I think giving them access to Zen, it's not, and giving access to Zenites isn't like game breaking either, because it's like
It's pure. I mean, for a lot of it, it's QOL, Ring of Suffering versus Recoil at Zelda. Huge
yes,
quality of life.
yes,
Uh, just makes it so much more relaxed. Then there's, Torm, great. It's just a little bit extra. It just, bridges the gap a little bit. And Torture versus Fury, not a huge difference for melee,
I
but
think
Anguish
the
is
I
nice.
say Anguish is great for
Anguish is huge.
just because
But
you can't have crystal armor. Anguish is
no,
huge
yeah,
for having the bow if you only have Bofa.
I both is so bad on Pures. It
But
really is. Everyone loves it. I'm just like, it's not great.
it's just it
It's
doesn't.
not.
It's not the same weapon without the crystal armor effect.
No, it's not. ACB is better by far. Um, like, Deli out DPSs me in Zabak sometimes when we duo because I don't have ACB, but he is ACB. So I just don't like God Wars, to be honest. It's just not content I have fun with, so
Hmm,
I don't do it.
that's fair.
But
So we have a little bit of time left, so I want to get into one last thing with you.
go
And that
for it.
was, what is your, if you could have an update come through, or if there's any updates you're anticipating that they've talked about upcoming, like, do you have anything that you are excited about in the near future? And then after that, we can talk about the new skill potential if you want to.
The new skill is what I'm excited for. I think there's a lot of potential they can do with it. They can bring in some new areas to the game that might be fun. There's a lot of options that they have that I don't think have been explored. I don't like I don't want to see a rehashing of anything. I want to see what they come up with, and because, like, there's been great additions to this game. TOB, I think the Nightmare boss fight's good. Like I said, Sepulcher, a whole different topic, but cool. Um, it's, Sepulcher. I'm assuming you've done it.
Yep, I really enjoy Spolker.
Yeah, Sepulcher's awesome. It's just,
It's
it's
a
just
fun
cool.
agility method instead of just clicking around a circle.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's the PVM of agility.
Yeah, in a
It's
sense,
it's
yeah.
rhythm. It's also rhythm. It's I think this game has a lot of rhythm that they can go into, and I think that there's so much more potential and it's really really untapped. I think they need to not do things like Baba that are just you're punished no matter what. I think they need to do things like Nightmare that just focus on you playing well. I think that's what needs to happen from a new skill, whereas like the rates aren't from how long you can sit there at Motherwood Mine or AFK Bloods. The
Mhm.
rates need to come from how well you do something. Sure, there can be options, of course, it's always good to have options, but what I want to see from a new skill is a skill that takes advantage of the tick system for XP rates.
Like not the players finding something, but like Jagex being like, okay, this you have to do this method to get the best rates,
Yeah,
but we're
I
also
think
offering
that
this
that's
slower method that's going to be a lot more relaxed.
yeah, like comparing doing True Blood Altar, also add True Soul Altar. That's my agenda because I'm a Soul Rune victim now. Add True Soul Altar to the game, add Soul Rune packs.
They could probably do that with the Desert Treasure.
They could expand the Lunar quest line if they want to. I don't care. Just add it. Just give it to me. Just put it in the middle of Varrock. I don't care. Just give it to me,
Varrock Square,
please.
it's fine.
Yeah, man, it's whatever.
A nice
Pirate
catacomb
server scape.
system. Said a little
Put
catacomb system underneath the fountain.
Yeah, sure. Who cares? You gotta dive. You gotta wear the diving mask or whatever it's called. Um, the fishbowl helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And the diving
Yeah, just
apparatus.
just just give them that. Yeah, like when you're doing seaweed runs. So I would love to see a skill that kind of goes into that direction. I don't want dungeoneering. I know people are asking for dungeoneering. Go do
I
chambers.
I also
Just go.
don't want dungeoneering. You could add aspects of dungeoneering in the skill. Sure.
I think if they want to do a dungeoneering, just make raids 4.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think they should do raids more often. I think 6 years between raids was just way too long.
I think it was Chambers was 2015, 2016.
Look it up.
Okay, hold on. Cox
Okay, so
release.
Chambers released 2017, January 5th. Theater of Blood
Also
is
came out a year later.
just a year later.
Year and a half later, yeah.
Jeez. So yeah, a year and a half later, and then we just got TOA. So I would love to see another raid come in the next, maybe
It took
a
4 years to
year
do
from
TOA.
now would be lovely. Have like a raid coming up.
I would say
I,
I would argue raid is also a good thing to do. Like, you know how most like metalcore or bands in general just do like a 2 year album cycle?
yeah, 2 year album cycles are just pretty common.
Two
That's
two
just the
year
industry standard.
2 year
You
raid
can thank
cycle.
you can thank Warp Tour for that, by the way.
I know.
Fun fact: a lot of metalcore bands would actually release their albums surrounding Warp Tour
Hmm.
because that was just the way to make money.
Well, that
It
makes
really
sense.
was.
I mean,
Um,
I went to like 3 or 4 of them.
yeah, I've been to a bunch. So the music I listen to most is like metal and a lot of death metal. I do love Deftones a lot.
Hmm.
But if I had to get like a top 5, a lot of them would be death metal. I like Deftones a lot. I like Mood Ring a lot. That's a newer band that's really good. Very
Moon
Deftonesy.
Ring is cool. They're just not in the vein of
You
stuff I usually listen to.
you know Mood Ring?
Hmm.
So I've been friends with Hunter since the vocalist for years, and it's awesome to see him really finding a lot of success with this. I've been very happy. He used to be in a band called Culture Killer,
I
which
That's
was
also a very familiar name, but
it was like a hardcore metal kind of band, and I have the Throes of Mankind album art tattooed on my ankle,
nice.
actually. Um, I also listen to a lot of weird stuff, like, I'll listen to pretty much anything. I don't like uh how to say this. I don't like pretend country, is what I'm gonna call it.
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't like
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 you would
I don't
prefer like an old school
like outlaw country's good, like, but not like I'm just gonna call it bootlicker country, where it's like gods, guns, and country. It's like old country was not like that. Come on, old country was like
yes.
running from the cops. It was funny. It was cool. Um, whatever your opinions politically are, Old Country just hit harder. It was cool. It didn't sound like a commercial for,
Budweiser or Miller Lite.
Budweiser. Exactly. I
Yeah.
don't like
No.
beer, so
Yeah. I know. No, I know exactly what you mean, and I completely agree. Now, there,
it's
I agree in the sense that like overall, I do
yeah.
think in almost every genre though there is an outlier or
There's
two that I
always
like.
something you can find. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't listen to like EDM really, but I like Rez. Rez is cool.
Hmm.
I'm not an EDM fan, but I think Rez is cool. So, um, but yeah, most of what I listen to is metal and rock. So it's just what stays in my ear.
Maybe when we're done, I'll send you my band's record. You can review it for me
Throw
if
it.
you want.
I'll listen to it. I like music. I've been listening to a lot of that. A lot of Edgewater, that old rock band.
Hmm.
They released those albums back in the day. Amy Winehouse, man. Fucking Amy Winehouse. Come back to life, please.
Yeah, you want some new Winehouse from the
I would
grave?
love that. Yes, just come back to life. Like she was just the best. Jeff Buckley too. He was a great singer, but another one that died way too soon. Growing up, my favorite band was Alice in Chains.
Hmm.
Another band that really lost a core member, but still to this day sounds great no matter what because of Jerry just being a great writer.
That's always
Music's
cool.
lovely.
Yeah, that's
Music connects so many people that are from different backgrounds.
absolutely. It's one of those things that
I
I
have met the strangest people through music.
true, dude, true. I was playing a show a couple months back, and I was talking with my roommate about RuneScape because then just some random dude at the show just popped up and was like, "Oh, you guys play RuneScape?"
I have a 99 tattooed on my ankle and I get questions about it sometimes.
Is it just a skill or is it just 99?
It's just the number 99 and like that pixelized font.
Like
That is it.
I should think about. I always thought about getting a RuneScape tattoo. I've never pulled
I
the trigger
kind of
on
want a
it.
DDS tattooed as well because old PKing days,
Hmm.
but I just haven't because I just haven't. I just finally got, I had like the worst year of my life trying to find work pretty much
Hmm.
because of some it's just hard to find a good job that you want to do.
Absolutely.
So I just got full-time work. So once I'm rolling in the money a little bit more, I kind of want to get a couple more um RuneScape related things to be done. To be honest, I think the scythe has potential to make something cool. Obviously, if you don't just take the scythe and put it on your arm, you have
Hmm.
to do something cool with it.
Get
Or like
like
at least a little call to RuneScape because it's like this is a big part of my life is whether or not you think that's sad or cool. It's just I've played this game since I was in third grade. I One of my best friends to this day I met because we both played RuneScape in elementary school.
very like similar story for me as well.
It's like my friend Charlie I have known since I was in third grade, and we met because we both played RuneScape,
Hmm.
and I still see him every week to this day. So
It's amazing like
it's
what connects people and what people don't think about. Because I remember growing up, people are always like, "Video games don't rot your brain. No, you can't make any real
mhm.
friendships on the internet." All that kind of stuff, and it's just like I don't
It's
know, man.
just that isn't true, man. I love hanging out with people in Discord. I get Surly in there, he gets drunk. We get Deli in there. Deli starts cracking jokes. It's funny. You're just having a good time.
Yeah, it's like so people will say what they want, but it's like these are like real relationships. Like, sure, you may not have them
Yeah, oh, of
forever, but
course.
like,
But not, what is forever at that rate? You can get existential with it.
yeah, exactly. I don't want to
What
get
is
existential
what
with
is
it.
what is permanent? No, I'm kidding, you just and there's nothing wrong with how people have fun. People get too caught up in that. It's like if I have fun playing RuneScape, why can't I? There's no there's nothing wrong with it inherently. There's as if what you do for fun is not causing a detriment to your life or everyone around yours life, and even if it is causing detriment to your life, that's your decision.
Hmm.
But who cares? There's no point getting mad at how people have fun.
Agreed.
If I like to read a book, I'm gonna read a book. I like to go for people like to exercise. I think those people are weird. But
I like going for runs and walks.
I go on the beach a lot, but
But
that's about it.
now here where I live, it is about 5 degrees until
Yeah, no, I could
March,
not do that, man.
so
I would
I
be like,
can't.
okay.
I don't go outside anymore.
I'd be shaking in my boots for sure. I don't even own boots, man. I live in Florida. What do you think I got here? I got
I
tennis shoes. I got flippers.
I own 3 pairs of boots.
Yep. No, I don't have any pairs of boots. I think they look cool. I would love an excuse to wear boots, but if I wear boots in Florida, I'm like, I feel like an idiot.
That's fair. I mean, you
I
can
need
wear
to give you
Tim's. That's
some.
pretty. It's pretty popular in Florida,
Yeah.
right?
Let me just pull up in a pair of Tims real quick. I'm sure that'll look. I'm sure that won't look goofy as hell too. Like a 6'2" stick, man. Come on. I had to cut my hair for work too, and I'm like, oh god. I'm like, what? Who is in front of me?
I'm a new
Wait,
person
that's
now.
me. Yeah, I've had long hair since I was 12, and I just had to cut it for work, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. You're supposed to style it? What's that?
Yeah,
Mousse gel? What are those
I'm
things?
I'm getting
I ain't
used to
never
that
heard of
myself.
those. So, but yeah, I'm really excited for the future of the new skill. I think the game has a lot of potential. I'm just afraid for how they try to get to that potential, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah,
think
I
there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but that's life.
we just have to hope they're gonna go right, or if they don't go right at first, that they get fixed.
I think they're afraid of fixing things sometimes too, which is just to me a bad move. Just it's never too late, you know?
And I take the Jar of Darkness as like a
Yeah, the
prime
jar of
example of
fucking
that.
darkness, man.
Prime example. It was not too late. Like, you know, you could go back. I know they talked about fixing raid scouting. They talked about like just making it a part of like the game instead of having to do it like with like different accounts. How you
I
could
PM'd that. I tweeted at Ash. I was like, "Can we fix this?" And he said I would be down with that. So let's just hope one day they actually go through with that. You know?
I'm living snorting my level 3 recoil rings on Impling drop table copium forever
Yep,
until it happens.
exactly. So, but yeah, it was lovely to chat. If you have any more questions, of course. But I think you said that was your last one. So
Yes, yes. No, that was it. I'm
sorry for rambling on so much.
no,
I think about this game a lot because it's just what I do a lot. So
it's perfect and like I like getting that perspective because like I think about the game too a lot. Like I try not to let it overtake me like it used to. But
Yeah,
people
I've done my best. You know, everyone life just goes, so you got to let it go.
yes, and we are just about the 2 hour mark. Like I think this is getting close to the longest one so far.
Well,
But I like
sorry slash you're welcome. Put a boat there.
I just like to keep them around too because I know like for me
People got shit to do, man. You know.
yeah, for me a podcast that's like 3 or 4 is almost too much sometimes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people to pick here from the clan that you can probably get to talk about too. There are just some cool accounts that have done some cool stuff.
And of course, like yeah, exactly, and like that's kind of like why I've reached out to like you and All Pure and all that kind of stuff,
Well,
and of
I am nowhere near the coolest account even active in here. So
I
I
think
just play a lot and I talk a lot because I just have fun. I just fuck around.
and I think that was like a great I think that's a great like segue for me to talk to you too because like you said you like to like kind of just make friends with people and talk to
I
everybody.
just
So
chat.
like
I'm a chatter.
exactly. So people seeing like, oh, he chatted with like you chatted with me and I've chatted with Alt Peer, so maybe more people will become more open to it. Because I know there are people who I've asked in the past. I asked Trisk.
I
He
would love to hear Trisk talk for an hour and a half at the minimum.
he
Trisk is hysterical too.
he said no right now.
That's Yeah, Trisk is the funniest. Trisk is every time he chats in the lounge, I'm always laughing because he just always is clapping at someone with just some dumb like listen, like I said, a lot of great gamers in this account on this clan. There's also some really bad ideas that just are never gonna happen that people like to say that are gonna happen. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But you go off. Um, like people who just they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then you're like, okay, sure, buddy, and then you never see them after 2 weeks.
Yes, and like
This this
that's I try to keep myself
there's a
realistic after the when I
the
first joined
the
my clan,
the
I did the
hardest
same
part
thing.
about planning events in this clan is the big disparity between 50% of the accounts are end game, and then 50% of the accounts are like 2 weeks in, and you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's like
So
how
I'm
many how many winter
like,
tile
how
uniques?
many Guardians of the Rift tiles can I put in this bingo board? I'm
Please
like,
put some.
should I
Please
put a
put.
Giant's Foundry tile? No, I'm kidding.
You should absolutely. So
No, I'm
I
not,
have a
because
reason to
that's
go
not
back. No, no, do it.
okay. I need to go get I'll put the cannonball mold in there, but I'll put just for me, so it's okay.
Oh my god.
'Cause I need to get it. Cause I gotta do Wildy's Slay. Dagon looks so cool, but man, it's gonna be annoying.
Well, thank you again for
Of
chatting with
course,
me. And then, of
no
course,
problem.
in the future, if we ever want to do a part two, I hope you would love to do that.
Like
Or
it.
be a part of. I would love to do. I know Alt Pure kind of suggested a thing with multiple people from that clan.
Yeah, I'd get on here with some other Zerks or other peers. I'm always down, you know.
I think that'd be fun.
There's great accounts in here that have a lot of great potential. Like Homestyle, this guy has come out of nowhere and just been like super good. I'm like, huh? Like just clearing stuff. I'm like, okay, this
Hmm.
is awesome. Like he's just a peer that just kind of I had no idea who he was. Suddenly he was in there and he's like, oh, I have Scythe. I'm like, yo, hold up, a gamer.
Gamer alert. Found him.
Literally my alerts in my head start going off. I'm like, I gotta be friends with them so I can have them help me teach people stuff. So all right, but yeah, it was good. I'm always down in the future. Maybe I'll ramble a little less next time. I let other people talk. So
No, that's all. It's always good to have somebody who likes to talk. It's hard because like some of the
rank 1 chatter and Iron Pure.
perfect. That's all we need. You know.
All right, yeah.
All right. You have a good
So
rest of your day
I'll
then.
I'll I'll leave you like my Twitter because that's really all I have and like my temple, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I can find
Um,
your tempo and your high scores, but yeah, if you want to leave me your
Perfect.
Twitter, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I don't really tweet a lot, but I do be using it sometimes.
Awesome.
So
So all that will be in the description. And do you have any parting words?
start an Iron Pure.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming
Have
on.
fun. Don't worry
And
about EHP. Don't worry about EHP. Just play the game and have fun.
okay, worry about EHP a little bit
Unless that
though.
is how you have fun, of course.
That's how I have fun sometimes.
Then yeah, then that's how you should play the game. But it's fun. So that's it.
All right. You have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.